Hey scholars, this is a video to explain the annotated bibliography research assignment for your informative speech. So make sure you have that document out in front of you and you're reading along as you're listening to what I'm talking about. So this is the next step of your of the overall development for your informative speech assignment. So as you know, you are required to have 4 sources for the speech assignment. And this assignment will ensure that you have really good research, basically. Um, so what it is, it's a bibliography that gives a summary of the research that's been completed for your speech. So you'll have 4 sources, and for each source, you're going to basically write a report. Essentially, you're going to write a report for each source that you have, where you include the. I'm not going to read through everything on here, so do make sure you read through everything on here in detail. So for each source that you have to have at least 4. You could do more than 4 if you wanted, but for this assignment in particular, 4 are required. And of course, for your informative speech assignment, there are 4 required as well. And I say that because you might not use them all. You might have 4 in this assignment for the annotated bibliography research assignment, and then you might have a different one for your final speech. You might not use one of them, and you might have a different one. That's fine. But anyhow, for each source that you provide, you'll need to have the citation in either an MLA or APA format. It doesn't really matter to me which format you have. So include the citation and then a summary where you have, it's basically a paragraph where you're providing a concise yet detailed synthesis of the whole resource. So like, what's it about? What are the outcomes? What are the implications? What is this source talking about? Let's say you have a book. If you have a 200-page book as one of your sources, well, obviously you're not going to read the entire 200-page book and write a detailed summary of that entire 200-page book. But if you were to have a 200-page book, you could read the introduction, read the conclusion, read through the chapters, get an idea of what the book is about, and of course, how is that book relevant to your speech? So you're providing a brief summary. You could write a 1-page summary of a book or a 1-paragraph summary of a book. You could write a 1-page summary of an article or a 1-paragraph summary. So you're doing the 1-paragraph version summaries. So that's the second thing. And then you need to apply the CRAP test. And I have that document on our Canvas page, the CRAP test, where you're basically you're providing an analysis of the reliability and authority of that source. So the C is for currency, reliability, authority, and purpose. So how recent is the information? Perhaps your topic, it doesn't really matter if you have recent information, but if you're talking about something that has to do with medicine or science or technology, then the currency is going to matter. If you're going to if you're giving a speech on the history of, let's say, like the soccer ball or something like that, well, then it wouldn't really matter if you had really recent information. If you're doing a speech on, let's say, football helmets, I know that with football helmets, that has changed quite a bit. There's a lot of new developments and a lot of new advancements in the technology of football helmets as it relates to concussion protocols and whatnot. So that's something that's emerging, right? So currency is relevant for that. It might not be relevant for giving a speech on a person who's a historical figure, but nevertheless, that's one of those things that you want to look into as you're evaluating each source that you're using for your speech. And the next R is reliability. Where did this information come from, and is it important to your speech or topic? By the way, the more detailed CRAP analysis document is on the Canvas page. If you go to our course page and you go to useful resources and documents, it's one of the, I don't know, the 3rd or 4th module down, useful resources and documents. You'll see where it says CRAP tests. I definitely recommend that you open that up, read through that, because that's a more detailed, it's a longer definition, a longer explanation of the CRAP test. So I'll be referencing that as well. So when it comes to reliability, that's the reliability of the source, not necessarily the person who actually made the material, but where the information comes from. Is it a primary, secondary source? Who published the information? Was it peer reviewed? What kind of website? If you're using a website, so you're really like how trustworthy is the source of this information. And then the next one, A, is authority. Who authored this information? Was it a single person? Was it several people or organizations? What's their reputation, their expertise? So how do you know how good this information is? You need to really dig and comb through each source that you have to ensure that you have good information. Garbage in, garbage out, right? The better and more qualified, the more authoritative that the more authoritative each source is, it's going to be that much better for you in the long run. It'll make your job a lot easier when you're compiling the final outline and when you're compiling all the final details of your final speech. And the last one is purpose. What's the purpose of this article? So it sounds like some of the stuff is a bit redundant, but each one serves a different purpose. What was the intent of the author? How is the author connected to the information? Who's the intended audience? Is it a first-hand account? So basically, this crap test, you don't need to go into an excessive amount of detail. I provide some sample annotated bibliographies on this assignment itself. But the whole point of this is to get you to really thoroughly look at each source that you have to ensure that you have good information. And I emphasize that so much because one of the things that I've noticed over the last 15 years, is the speeches that tend to be really good and that have really well thought out plans and ideas, and it has it's following the assignment really well. It's easy to understand. It's organized really well. Generally, those speeches have very good sources. So it just makes sense. And it's hard to know if you're just doing a Google search and you're just using some random website. And chances are it's probably not going to be that good. I mean, you might get lucky, but consider everything that I talked about in the chapters on researching your topic. So that's chapter 6 and 7. That's all about topic selection and researching your topic. I mean, that's the most work. As I've talked about in a lot of the lecture videos, the bulk of the work that you're doing for this assignment is research, right? Once you have all the research done, once you have like the expert information, you have really good information, then it's just a matter of pulling from that and fitting it into the outline. And then rehearsing the speech and delivering the speech is the easiest part. Sort of ironic because it's the part that so many students fear the most. They have this fear of public speaking. They have all this nervousness and anxiety. That in terms of difficulty level, that's the easiest part. The hardest part, the part that you should be putting the most work and effort into, is this research component. And this is nothing new that I'm talking about right now, as I've mentioned this in several other videos. So that's the third part. And then the fourth part is the execution oral citation. So you would want to write the way that you're going to include the citation in your speech and include the actual quote or paraphrase you might consider. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to say, I'm planning to do this, just include it. So quotations, according to so and so forth, write out the exact way that you plan to incorporate this source into your speech. So this is on oral citations. I've talked about oral citations in other lecture videos. The textbook talks about it, and of course, on our Canvas page, in the same module as that crap test, you'll see oral citation examples. So look at those oral citation examples, and you also want to look at the annotated bibliography sample. That's a different assignment. That's just a sample. That's just going to give you more insight and perspective on just the overall nature of annotated bibliographies. That one is a lot more detailed. But I definitely, you should look through those. You don't necessarily have to model your own assignment for this assignment for the informative speech. You don't have to model it after the annotated bibliography sample that I provide here, because it's just a little bit different. This is not a crap test. This is just like a detailed summary of a variety of articles and books. There's some sample annotations of books. Like I said, yours don't need to look like this, but it's best for you to read through these and look at them prior to when you're doing yours or during the process of when you're creating your own. And then I also provide for you just a sample bibliography with a variety of different articles, the books, edited books, journal articles, internet sources, other printed works. That's just giving you more insight on format. So some students are concerned about, like, how do I format? How do I include the citation? you can always look up MLA APA on the OWL website. That's Online Writing Lab, OWL Purdue. If you just go on Google and you type in OWL Purdue, that'll take you to the Online Writing Lab for Purdue University. And there's all kinds of resources on there for formatting on all kinds of different styles, so APA, MLA, so on and so forth. So there we go. And then so back to the useful resources and documents module. When you click on oral citation examples, you'll see a variety of oral citation examples, like how to actually cite things in a speech. There's plenty of samples in there. I have one that just talks about plagiarism and oral citation, so it's giving you more insight on like the plagiarism background or the plagiarism perspective of why it's so important to cite your sources. So I've talked about this before. So you have to cite your sources. It's an issue of plagiarism. Failing to cite sources in a speech like this will definitely lower your grade. But potentially, worst case scenario could lead to an F. Because if you're plagiarizing the speech, that could be an issue. So you're giving credit to where credit is due. And if anything, this should sort of some students they might get worried about this kind of thing, but the bottom line is you're not creating the information. You're not generating new information. You're finding really good research and then you're putting it into your own words, and you obviously you're making it conform to the format that you have. And then I have all those different oral citation examples. You can see that's it's a scanned page from a different public speaking textbook that I've used. So you see all these different examples of book, newspaper, magazine, academic journal, organization, interview. So that's what yours should look like, right? Word for word, how do you plan to cite this source in your speech? And that's what you're doing for that. Let me pull it back up. For that number 4. That number 4 for this annotated bibliography research assignment, the execution oral citation, yours should look like that in the oral citation examples. You're not fully committed to this. You might change the way you actually do it, but this is one way to practice, right? This is ensuring that you're going to have some form of an oral citation. And what I recommend is to leave it as is. You might make minor modifications, but you're gonna include that oral citation in this assignment. And then as you're preparing your speech, maybe you just literally like take this word for word from this assignment and then you put that onto your index card, or you put that onto your outline, or you put it onto your notes as you're preparing, as you're practicing and rehearsing for your final speech. So that is this assignment, and that was pretty detailed. It was a lot of information, but I just want to make sure you understand. So that's what you're doing. For each source that you have 4 things. You're listing the citation, providing a summary, and then doing the CRAP test, which the CRAP test you could do like 4 bullet points, or you could have like one paragraph incorporating all 4 components: the currency, reliability, authority, and purpose. It's up to you how you want to do it. And then the 4th thing is the execution oral citation. So I provide some examples for you from former students that I've had with their permission. So that first one is on chopsticks. So a student gives a speech on chopsticks. Excellent speech, very detailed academic scholarly speech on chopsticks. So you see the summary, the currency, relevance, authority, the purpose, execution, so on and so forth. And then you have another topic on the Stanford Prison Experiment. So that's another example. There's a few sources showing summary, currency, the CRAP test, right, oral execution, so on and so forth, the sources, the source citation. So hopefully that gives you enough context, give you enough structure for knowing how to do your own assignments. I've given feedback to all of you on your speech assignments or your informative speech topics. So I gave you oral feedback on there's an audio clip on the informative speech topic assignment module, where I assign the grade, and then you'll see it'll be like an MP4 file or something like that. But it's basically I'm giving you some oral feedback on what to do, and based upon when you're hearing this audio, there might be some of you who haven't yet heard back from me, but I'm finishing that up right now as we speak. So this is the next thing that's due. This is the next big part of the informative speech assignment. And this is in some ways easy because this is research. You're not practicing your speech. You're not speaking. You're just working on your computer basically, and compiling the research. And so that's that. Hope you're all doing well.